Squares and square roots. So a square root is represented with this symbol, and it'll have a number inside. So in this case, I'm looking at the square root of 16. Okay? The square root is asking me what number times itself. Okay? So if I'm using a as my variable, what number times itself is equal to 16. Okay? So in this case, I would say, well, 4 times 4 is 16. So the square root of 16 is equal to 4. Okay? However, there is another value when you multiply it by itself that will equal 16, and that is -4. Okay? So whenever you're looking at a square root, there's always two answers, one that's positive and one that's negative. Because it's always a number times itself, a negative times a negative is always going to also be a positive. Okay? You can never have the square root of a negative number. A perfect square is one like 16 that has integers as its square roots. Okay? So 16 is a perfect square because 4 times 4 is 16. If we were trying to get the square root of 17, that would not be a perfect square, and I would need a calculator to figure that out because it'd be a really long decimal, most likely. Okay? But perfect squares have roots that are exact integers. Okay? Concept 1 is finding the positive and negative square roots of a number. So like I said earlier, you're going to have two roots, one's positive and one negative, and it can be represented with this symbol here. So in the example above, the square root of 16 is equal to either positive or negative 4. Okay, and that's the symbol we use, so we don't have to write positive 4 and negative 4. Okay, you need to you need to start memorizing the perfect squares for numbers from 1 to 12. Okay, these are all perfect squares because they have integer roots. All right, if you were looking at a times table, it would be a diagonal column down the middle where you have 1 times 1 and 2 times 2, 3 times 3. Okay, you need to start remembering these because you're going to see them a lot, and if you have to go to your calculator every time to figure out what the square root of 49 is, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. Okay. Most of the time, we're going to work with these perfect squares, all right, these nice, easy square roots. If you're given a number that's greater than 144, or if it's not one of these numbers, I'm totally fine with you using a calculator, okay? So at this point, you should, if you haven't already, pause the video and make sure you draw out this table, okay? You need to know that 1 times 1 equals 1. Okay, the perfect square of 4 has roots of 2 because 2 times 2 is 4. All right, I need to see that copied down in your notes. I'm going to be looking for it. Okay, so when we are given a problem like find the square root of 36, hopefully this is something you already know, is that 36 is going to have 6 times 6 as its roots, or positive or negative 6. Okay. 49 is going to be positive or negative 7. 7. Okay. Some of the ones that are a little less common for people to know, and really the only one that I want you to make sure you learn is the square root of, the square root of 121, which is going to be 11 times 11, so positive or negative 11. Okay? Make sure you have this down and you start to memorize those. All right? Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of your time.